within European Union, but in presidential elections in 2020 in Belarus. First of all, I would like to say that we all know that Belarus is taking part in the aggression against Ukraine. But whether we like it or not, we have to admit, in Russia, President Putin, he is still legitimate president. That's why population of Russia needs to be accountable for what's happening in the Ukraine. On the other hand, in Belarus, we have completely different picture because President Lukashenko, we don't call him president any longer, he forged the elections, he reached the elections 6 times in a row. It happened in 2020. These elections in Belarus in 2020 demonstrated that this person doesn't have any support inside of the country. In the beginning of the campaign, he got rid of the 3 strong candidates. So our elections in Belarus were reached from the day 1. 2 of the candidates were put in the prison immediately, Sergei Tikhanovsky and Victor Babarika. My husband, Valery Tsepkalo, he had to live in exile. Because in our country you cannot survive if you are in opposition. You either end up in the prison or in exile. So this is when I gave my support to Svetlana Tikhanovskaya, and together with Maria Kolesnikova, we challenged the dictator Lukashenko. He didn't expect it. He was scared, he didn't know what to do. And then the election came, and probably all the Europe or the entire world witnessed what happened in Belarus. When we started the election, there were only 50 political prisoners in Belarus. As of today, 2 years later, 2.5 almost years later, the situation in Belarus deteriorated completely. As of today, we have more than 1,600 political prisoners. Out of these 1,600 political prisoners, we have 200 female political prisoners, and 232 more are under partial or home arrest. In Belarus, 45,000 people went through prisons, which is an absolute record for any European country after the World War II. We lost, if I talk about my family, for example, we lost everything in Belarus. Our apartment is under arrest. Our house is under arrest. My salary account is under arrest. Our cars, all the property is under arrest. Moreover, the dictator gave the order to ruin our house. So now we don't have a place where to go back. And we have 2 little children, and we need to survive somewhere, somehow, in one of the European countries, as I said. But compared to what other Belarus people lost, because many people lost their lives, many people lost their freedom, their health, their loved ones, yes, we didn't lose much. That's why we don't lose our hope. We understand that we need, no matter what, no matter that, like we see this horrifying war in Ukraine, and we are very compassionate. By the way, the people of Belarus do not support this war because during the Soviet Union, many family members, moved from country to country. Many family members, even in our case, live in Ukraine. So how can we live? How can we kill our neighbors, our family neighbors, our colleagues, our co-workers? This is not possible. But this person, he made everything possible to pull Belarus into this nonsense war. Therefore, 2 years after elections, we need to do something. Because right after we left Belarus in 2020, we dispersed. Because we used to be united. The opposition of Belarus used to be united when we were in Belarus. But when we left the country, because as I said, many people, more than approximately 1 million people population left the country out of 10 million people. So we are dispersed. We do not work on the regular basis anymore. And we need to do something differently. What we all know, all dictators are very afraid of the surveys. And they're more afraid of the elections. We understand that since it's been 2 years and the situation is deteriorating in the country, we need to embrace another approach. Otherwise, we're not going to achieve anything in our country. So we appeal to international community, we appeal to EU countries to help us to conduct online elections. Because there are a couple of cases, worldwide cases, when online elections took place, for example, in Tibet. But in Tibetan case, only people who live in exile take part of these elections. But in our case, we would like to engage all people in Belarus to take part in these elections, because for 28 years, we were deprived any right to choose the person we want to. That's why we ask EU countries, just be a role example for us, because most of the EU countries, you have parliamentary republics, and we would like to embrace parliamentarism in our case as well, because we are tired of the dictatorship for 28 years, because Lukashenko, he rewrote the constitution of Belarus, and he made his power practically limitless. So please be a role example for us. Please help us to conduct these online elections, because I personally work in one of the IT companies, and I know using the modern technologies, using the online technologies, we can do online elections. And we believe this is the only way to change the situation in Belarus. Please support us financially. Please support us informationally. Please be our example, and don't let us, by ourselves. But don't let us fight this by alone. Please stay with us.
Veronika, thank you very much.